introduce you now to the councillors and their divisions. Right next door to me here we have our Deputy Mayor, Councillor Kathy Duff from Division 5. Her portfolio is NRM, Parks and Indigenous Affairs. Next to Councillor Duff we have our Mayor, Mr Keith Campbell, and his portfolio is Economic Development, Governance and Communications. We move on then to Councillor Height, and her division is Division 6. Portfolio is Finance, ICT and Human Resources. We go to Councillor Froloff, Division 1, Portfolio Water, Waste Management, Sport and Recreation. And then down to Councillor Potter, who is Division 3, Portfolio for Community and Health Services and the Arts. And on the end, down the far end there, we have Councillor Pfeiffer, Division 4, and Terry's portfolio is Planning and Property. So basically we're here tonight to listen to all your concerns, and I'm pretty sure that the last two that we've had, I'm sure the issues that you've raised tonight won't be too much different, and we're here to listen and answer any questions that you have. Hopefully we can give you some sort of a reply, and if not we will look into it and get back to you. So I'll now hand over to our Mayor Keith Campbell, and he will continue on.
Thank you very much, Spud. I'll sit down and just chat from here. Look, thanks very much for coming out and I guess participating in what we're calling the listening tours. As Councillor Jones has said, the idea is for us to do as little talking as possible and for you to ask questions. You can ask questions about anything you wish, and if we don't know the answers, as Councillor Jones says, we can certainly find the answers and get back to you. But in my portfolio area, I look after economic development and tourism and governance, and and in addition to that, oversee the whole of the council area. But in terms of responsibilities, I see our primary responsibility as being that to look after the ratepayers within the area. You are the guys who pay the rates, and you have certain expectations as to what you will get back for the rate, for the rates that you pay. The demand for services always exceeds the amount of dollars in the budget for activities or roads in particular. But there is a limit as to what any regional council can pay in terms of can charge in terms of rates. So we have to try and balance it out as best we possibly can do. So our primary responsibility is looking after you guys as ratepayers, and then we have responsibilities, I believe, in the economic benefits that may grow from the area. Tourism is one of them, and the other is to take a look at opportunities whereby we may bring new business into the area, so that it creates the prospect of new jobs. Jobs for our kids, jobs for people who move into the area, and jobs where people will buy homes, and that will generate extra income as far as the rate collection is concerned. It's very easy to talk about economic development and what we like by way of new businesses, but of course it's quite a difficult thing to try and have that implemented. New business will come into the area because that's where they want to be. They will come in automatically. One of the areas that I'm also in the chair of the South Burnett Directions Committee. South Burnett Directions is the economic group within council. One of the areas that we are taking a look at in particular is the issue relating to irrigation for land. The greatest resource that we have within this region here is agriculture. This is still the biggest contributor to our economy, and if there was some way that we could boost the economy for agriculture by adding some land that had access to more water for irrigation, may produce the opportunity of growing different crops more high-value crops. That may necessitate the employment of extra staff, that may necessitate or allow value-adding, those types of things. So we're trying to look at the opportunities that may open up as a consequence of exploring the opportunity of bringing water into the area. So look, as I said, and as Councillor Jones has said, our principal purpose here tonight, we don't have a specific agenda other than to listen to what you guys might have to say about the running and the functions of the South Burnett Regional Council. Now what happens here is each of the councillors will give a brief outline as to their portfolio area, and that may stimulate some points that you may wish to ask questions about. So given that this is Councillor Jones's home territory, I think maybe Spud, you might like to start off with the area of roads and give an outline as to what's happening there.
Okay, thanks Keith. Basically what we've tried to do in the budget since we've been elected into council is prioritise rural roads. Right? Everywhere we've gone, every councillor in every division has had the same complaint about the roads not being safe and all the rest of it, and we've been out, we've had a look, and yeah, there's no denying the fact that the rural roads are a major concern. And what we've done in our budget, we've gone in, we had it all sorted, we come back out and we finished it on the Wednesday. Friday afternoon the federal government sent us an email through to say that they've taken $1.6 million of funding off us, so we had to go back in, redo the budget, but we've still found money. We put back some capital works. We haven't taken them off the program, we've just put them back 12 months so that we could use the money from those particular jobs. There was somewhere around 700,000 and 800,000 in a couple of the jobs, and we've taken them back over to put into the rural roads so that we can do re-sheeting, re-gravelling, and basically maintain the existing roads and lift them up to a higher standard. So in saying that, prior to the budget, some of the works and some of the way some of our jobs have been completed and left certainly weren't satisfactory. I will say, and I will stand up for the blokes that are in there now, our General Manager of Infrastructure and our supervisors and whatnot are trying, since we've given them this, we've funded virtually a new grader crew for 12 months, and their priority is rural roads. Alright, so that's their main priority. They're going out, they're starting to fix it. They're well aware of the fact that their work was substandard. We've addressed those issues. I've had a couple of conversations with these people, and they're not hiding behind anything. They're actually admitting that they have done jobs in the past where they've just been a quick fix. This council has let them know pretty upfront that that's not going to be acceptable this time around. So basically, since the election and since they've got the extra money and since the budget's come out, their work has seemed to have picked up. The jobs that they have done and they have created or been working on, they have been done to a higher standard. So hopefully, all right, in saying that, I know there's a lot of people in this room and everywhere we go, it doesn't matter where we go. I went to Mergen the other day, everyone's got issues with roads, but what I will say is, if you can, when I say be patient, I know you're going to say, well, we've been waiting for 3 and 4 years to see a grader and all that, but, all right, we're a new council, we've created the new budget, we've prioritised rural roads, and if things haven't improved in 18 months to 2 years, I'm more than happy to listen to you and let you kick me bum, all right? But let's just let things unfold the way that things are going, and obviously when we talk to people like this out in these areas, we want to talk to you and you bring your issues to the table, and then we'll take them in and then we'll address them. And obviously you've got to prioritise them, all right? I'll be up front with you. People that think they've got the worst road in Australia, I can take you and show you worse roads. Now, the people that had been driving up here through Upper Yarra and all the rest of it, they would have known how bad those roads were, and I took that to council and they admitted, and they come out and fix them straight away. There's some patches that haven't been left, but that's what we're doing. We're prioritising, working our way through the bad ones down to the not so bad ones, I guess. So pretty much that's it. It's a work in progress. We have created, and every one of these people sitting in front of you have acknowledged the fact that it is a priority. Every division, every councillor come back, and that was the top of the tree before the election was rural roads. Now I went up with Councillor Duff and Mayor Campbell the other day, right to the very tip up near Gayndah on a road up there that gets work. We're going to discuss as a council with maybe some options that we can use. Rather than sending one of our grader crews up there, we're going to discuss as a council whether there's another option, whether we can get a contractor in and use them, and maybe because it's so far, it's at the extreme, and we're sort of on the same situation down this way, it's a possibility that we could do that sort of thing here with our roads around here. If it becomes viable, there's gravel pits and all that sort of stuff. We drove past 4 gravel pits up there, and we're not using them. We're dragging gravel for bloody miles and miles, and the gravel that's in one of them pits up there, I think it's a pretty good standard. I've done a fair bit of earthworks and all that sort of stuff, and I think it's a good clay-based gravel you would be quite happy to use on a rural road out there. And these people, there's 15k a road that we're talking about. So that's the sort of things that we're looking at. We're not sitting idle. We are trying to save money. We are trying to, prioritise the rural roads. And with the budget, because they've taken money out this year, they have said that they will give us more money on top of returning this money back next year. So for the next 2 years, we should virtually have a new grader crew that their priority is rural roads, right? But understand that there is thousands of kilometres of dirt road through the whole shire, so we have got to be a bit careful. Well, not careful, but it's going to take some time. But we are looking at options.
Thank you very much, Councillor Jones. That's a good outline, and we have around about 3,500 kilometres of council roads within the region, but then on top of that there's also the state roads. Now the only involvement we have with state roads is maintenance, and that's not to say that when something occurs by way of a defect that we go out and fix it immediately. The state government provides only a certain amount of money to spread over the whole of the 12-month period, and they have to tick off or sanction all of the maintenance work that's done on their roads. Roads will continue to be, a big priority within the council region, probably well into the future. I don't know whether you ever totally catch up, because the minute you fix a road, it starts to deteriorate again. And if you happen to get a bad weather burst, well, some roads just collapse even more quickly. Okay. Oh yes.
What are the state roads around here?
Okay. Well, now that's a question that I can't answer exactly. We were talking about it driving out here this evening. Yes.
So it's the main highway. So
yes.
Okay. So the road going up to say Burnett Mountains wouldn't be considered a state road?
Yes, it is.
It is.
It is a state road. Yep. Okay. It is a state road.
Because I had a question about that.
Yep. Okay. Yes, it is a state road, and there'd be a number of roads within the region here that would even be regarded as state roads. But I can't. We were talking about whether or not we might be able to get a listing of the state road network, and if we were able to be successful in that, it would be.
If you know our roads, then the rest must be state.
Yeah. Well, that's.
Then we already know.
Yeah. Well.
You should already know.
Well, we do, but we're not necessarily list them off the top of my head.
Oh, no, but surely you've got it written down somewhere. Spuddle there.
We have.
One or two are to access the area, someone like that.
Yes, if we had, I don't know whether you've seen that there's a reference book that's been put out by somebody within this is quite some years ago now, that it lists every road within the South Burnett region, every road, and that's not just that's not just our roads, that's also state roads. Also.
But it doesn't mark them as.
No, it doesn't mark them as, no.
But I mean,
Well,
I,
my GPS shows every road in the district and it wants to take you.
That's right, yeah. Even when you know it's wrong, it still wants to take you, yeah.
That's roads down through Green Floods and all that, they're still all marked as roads.
Yes, that's right.
But are they or aren't they? Are they still gazetted roads or what?
Probably, but there are some roads that may be,
unformed.
yes, unformed, and they are not
Oh, I got
subject.
one of them.
Yeah, they are not then subject to, regular maintenance.
So they are a gazette road, but they're not formed up.
We do have a number of roads in the region that are gazetted roads and have been for a long, long time. But very, very infrequently are they used by anybody except a farmer who may want to get to the back of his property and things like that. So we're choosing not to upgrade those anymore because it's just a waste of time. It's basically a track to get to the back of their property.
On one road, literally halfway down there, but it's not a gazetted road.
Yeah, alrighty, well look, okay, we'll, you can still ask questions about roads any time during the course of the evening, but we'll move to the other end of the table and I'll ask Councillor Fleischfresser to outline his portfolio area.
Well, thank you very much. It's wonderful to see so many here. This is the best roll-up we've had so far in South Burnett. Does that mean that you guys are really angry or you just want to hear what we've got to say? That's good. Okay. My portfolio is planning, development and property, and it's a fairly significant portfolio. To provide effective management and maintenance for council property and buildings, community and for community and council to use. The management of land tenure, equipment sales, building capital projects and administration contracts. One of the things previous council have done very poorly in the last few years is not explain to you where your money goes to and what we have to maintain as a council. So I'm going to list some of the things that a big part of your rates go to. Council has 7 administration buildings, 1 IT building, 10 halls owned and managed by council, 4 halls owned by council and managed by community groups, 2 art galleries, 4 museums, 6 libraries, 3 visitor information centre, 1 energy centre, 1 private hospital, 5 works depots, 3 workshops and 1 fabrication section. We have 5 showground facilities, 5 sports ground, 1 race course, 1 police and youth club, 8 tennis courts, 2 netball courts, 3 outdoor swimming pools, 1 indoor aquatic centre and hydrotherapy pool, 1 indoor learn to swim and 2 outdoor swimming pools. On top of that we have 14 town centres across the South Burnett. We have 3 airports, 13 cemeteries and 4 dams. On top of that we have 49 parks to maintain and mow. We mow annually 45 million square metres of grass, some 6 times a year, some twice a year. We have 51 regional amenities, that is toilet blocks, 4 regional public rest areas. We pay $1.5 million in insurance each year. On top of that we have 9 sewage treatment plants, 8 water treatment plants, 3 non-potable water schemes, 28 reservoirs, 28 water pump stations, 30 sewage pump stations, in excess of 600 kilometres of pipeline, water pipeline, and 280 of sewage dams. On top of that, we also maintain the Goodbrook Dam, the Burnett Dam, Macaulay Weir, the Mergen Weir, Nunkaka Pipeline to Yarraman Blackbutt, and others. So there's a significant amount of stuff that we have to maintain. That's not even to mention all of the halls where we pay most of their public liabilities for each year. Like we've just got the Rural Sports Ground coming to us saying they can't afford their public liability anymore. And it's about $6 million a year. And they use it twice a year. So what are we to do? We're nearly going to have to let it go back to grass and do something with the old buildings that are there. One's quite good, the other one's not so bad. But to give you an indication for swimming pools, the cost of swimming pools, every time a person goes for a swim in the Kingaroy Town pool, it costs $11 something for maintenance for that one person swimming that pool. That's what it costs. That's quite a way. They don't even begin to make anywhere close to break-even point any year. If you go to swim in the Proston State, the pool out of Proston, it costing council $137 per person per year for somebody to swim in that pool. With the chlorine cost, electricity, upgrading, the safety issues and things like that. And so it's an enormous amount of money that council puts out that a lot of people aren't even aware of. That's not even to mention any of the churches and all those sorts of people that also get freebies. So when we think about delivering a budget, and we deliver a budget of a 2.5% increase, which is pretty responsible, and we're still in surplus for the year. Council at the moment generates 83% of its total working capital through our evaluation processes and grants and things like that. So when you consider what we have to maintain, what we have to provide, it's a huge job. But we do this, I'm doing this in particular so that you can fully understand what we have to contend with on a day-to-day basis. So that every time we want something new or something improved, we've got to find the money somewhere. And the federal government and state governments are broke. And they're not going to give us any
What you're telling
good
us
deals.
there is that a lot of those properties are businesses.
Pretty much on our own. That's what we're working through at the moment. See, the councils,
Some of them are running at a loss.
most of them are.
Now, if I had a business and ran at a loss, what would happen to me?
Absolutely right. But you tell me which pool am I going to close down first, which wall am I going to close down first, which tennis court am I going to stop,
Why
which...
don't you close it down? Why don't you make the user pay?
Well, I mean, when you get a little tennis court like, say, Cumbria, that maybe...
I get a rate notice that says I have to pay for a emergency levy, I have to pay for a fire brigade, which I already thought I was paying for in rates and state government levies and other things,
Yeah.
but I'm still going to pay for that, not that I ever use it.
I suppose, that's right.
But
and
I'm
that's,
paying for that, whereas people go to the pool, I'm also now paying for them to go and have a swim.
yeah, well, I mean, if you ask them very more than one what it is to go into a pool now, that...
So how many businesses do
can you
the
tell me?
council run that actually run at a loss?
Well, I think that's probably what I've got to show you, is that councils aren't businesses. We don't make profits as such. We handle money to deliver services. So that's you never make money out of town halls, sale yards, swimming pools, cemeteries, waste management. They'll always be non-trust, but they're an expectation of the community, as are most of these things, an expectation of the community. So we have to balance.
So if I get a
cost.
levy and a rate, what's the difference?
Well, a levy,
Yeah.
like the road levy, the $200 a year road levy,
Yeah.
that's to repair the roads that we're not
So
getting
you're paying
funded.
me, you're now levying me to pay the roads, which I thought I was actually paying any rates.
And registration.
I'll just explain. There is nothing that comes council's way from registration. That's all gobbled up by the by the state government. With the levy.
But they're the ones that charge us, and then you're...
I know. I mean, occasionally, well, not so much occasionally, but the state and the federal government contribute dollars for capital work. So some of the road works that we undertake are funded by either a state grant or a federal grant, and more often than not, it's by way of a 50-50. We have to put up 50% of the money, and the state or the federal grant.
For our road, not for the state road.
Well, it's not even for our roads so much as it might be for a bridge. Yes, it can be for an upgrade to a bridge, a culvert, major capital works. There's in Kingaroy, for example, at the Kingaroy State School near the swimming pool. Some of you might know that there's a big exercise going to happen there in the next 12 months. Coolavanya, yes, at the Coolavanya School, there's improvements to the road network there, the turning areas, the turning junction that runs into our own roads. The Dagular Highway, of course, is a road that is owned by the state, but when it comes into, there's roads off the Dagular Highway, so we are getting money for that. But we do get a sum of money from the federal government called the Federal Assistance Grant, and that can be used for a multiplicity of reasons across councils, some of which can be used for operational or maintenance purposes. But the federal government, and Councillor Jones mentioned this earlier, the federal government have frozen the sum of money that they give to all councils. But then on top of that, when we were all but finished our budget this year, we were informed that they had stripped another $150,000 away from or out of the federal assistance grants. Councillor Fleischfresser has said that 83% of the money that is used within council for operational purposes and also some of our capital works is funded by ratepayers. Back in when council amalgamation occurred, it was around about 58-59% of the money that was needed was funded by ratepayers. So where did the balance of the money come from? It came from federal and state grants and those sorts of things. So more and more, and this is not just unique to the South Burnett Regional Council, this is the state of play throughout Queensland, throughout all councils within Queensland.
Have you got all the money off the state government for the flood relief and stuff? Has that all been paid to you?
Yes. Anything that qualified has been paid to us. Yes.
You just said that the state government gives you nothing from the rego.
That's right.
Okay, do you know how many vehicles are registered in the South Burnett Shire?
No, but I don't know.
Do you know that every one of us that has a car pays on our rego a traffic improvement fee?
Well,
Another word for let's not put the rate, let's not put the rego up, but let's call it another fee, which is, I don't know why they all lie to us, but why don't our council get the traffic improvement fee to improve the traffic in our shire?
Well,
They don't give it to you.
Okay, done up with
They don't
state
give it to you.
government.
it's a
Well,
state.
the rest of Queensland gets, we get stuff all on treated
Well,
like
that's right, because they
we're
take,
backwards.
they collect the money and they probably put it down.
Well, I'd like to see our council on the ratepayers and road users half, write a letter to the state government, i.e. our representative here, and find out why we don't get this traffic improved to improve our traffic.
You can write as many arguments as like and stand there and talk to you blue in the face, no one listen to you.
What you just said is you don't want to write a letter.
No.
No, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. You can write as many letters as you like and they'll just ignore it.
The trick is we keep writing letters, you just got to keep attacking them like we attack you.
Because
No, the
The
situation is that there is a peak body that represents all of the issues relative to Queensland local government, and that's the Local Government Association of Queensland. Now they are the blokes in Brisbane, and they charge every council in Queensland a fee for their being there, but they advocate as much as anything.
Do you mean this is more top heavy?
Well, I'm not saying that it's top heavy. I'm saying that there is a structure. If we try to go about just being our own little independent South Burnett Regional Council and divorced ourselves or separated ourselves from our peak body, LGAQ, we also have a regional body called the Wide Bay Burnett Regional Organisation of Councils. When you are speaking with a collective voice, when it is more than one, but when you are speaking for and on behalf of, a large number or the entirety of the councils within Queensland, when it's the LGAQ, we are part of what's called WebRock. That's the Wide Bay Burnett Regional Organisation of Councils, and it's been told to us many times. The state politicians, doesn't matter whether it's Labor, doesn't matter whether it's the Lib Nat, don't come to us, with your one-off little issues. But if you come to us and you've got a collective voice of the councils within your region, or you are being represented, you are speaking for and on behalf of the state of Queensland, you've got a hell of a lot more,
So I've just given you one. What are you going to do about it?
Well, what you are saying is, why don't we operate independently and rather than to the state?
No, the question is, you're levying us for road services, which we pay Regio store.
Yeah.
We also pay this lovely traffic improvement fee
In our registration.
in our registration.
Yeah, within your, yes,
Now-
well,
You're levying us $200, I'm now paying also a traffic improvement fee plus a Regio.
do you know how much you're paying within your registration?
Well, it works out about $100 for the year.
Yeah, well, I think
I've
we
never
should
looked at it.
advocate and say the
Because
proportion of that.
if we've got
I agree with you.
20,000 cars, how many residents, 50,000 cars times 100?
Well, I mean, there's nothing, that's a
Yeah.
good
I mean,
point that you've
can I
raised.
just
And we
say-
could actually take that through as the mayor said, through
You
the
can ask
local
every
government
council and say, what are you getting your traffic improvement fee to fix our roads?
So that could be something we
If
could take.
it's a traffic improvement fee, it fixes up the dirt roads, it fixes up the chunks
Well,
on the
look,
side of the bitumen.
I think you'll find they'll only improve the state roads.
Our
Sure,
tyre goes through
they're
the
But if they improve the state roads down here, that'll
How about, when we finish this evening, if you give me your name and telephone number, I'll check this out through the system and see what the state of play is.
You could actually write that in your weekly thing you put in the newspaper.
Could do, yep.
Well,
Yep,
then
right.
everybody-
Well, you're asking about,
Nobody just tell me, because then I gotta go and tell everybody.
yeah.
So it's a
Somebody
traffic-
pay
But
me
but
that.
well,
traffic improvement.
which is the reason why, I mean, when people make, ratepayers make an approach to me personally about something, I like to be able to get back to them. And that's the other point about this evening's meeting. If there are specific points that you ask about that requires one or the other of councillors to get back to you, we'll be making independent or our own notes.
I still
to
think you
get-
should put it in the,
To give
Yeah,
that
well-
callers a paper, we'll pay another
Letter
everything
to
in
us.
the paper.
Well, you do, you've got to
Letter
pay.
to us.
Yeah. All righty. Yep, okay.
Just with that traffic improvement fee, and you raised a perfect point, and certainly I would nearly suggest, but I will go back and check, but without checking with Webrock and all that sort of stuff, I would suggest that they would be already lobbying for that sort of stuff and not being very successful at the moment. Because if you were honest with yourself, a little old council like this out here, we can go and lobby the state government and all that sort of stuff where all the Regio goes in, and between you and I, you would nearly make the decision that most of that money will be spent on all the big major arterial roads up and down the coast and all through the state, and we get stuff.
look, I know where the money goes. It goes into Treasury. It's called the black hole. All the money drops in the black hole. Every drop of money the government gets drops in the black hole. Then all the government departments come crawling up to the black hole and say, here's what we want for this year.
That's right.
So now that's fraud. That's specifically put on there as a certain thing which should go to an allotment to that.
That's right. So,
Not consolidated revenue,
If you
because
don't keep reminding them, they're just gonna keep putting it in their pocket.
Well,
I'm getting hit twice.
You might
They
get
should
hit now all the time.
justify where that
Keep
money's being
reminding
spent and how much of it is
Yeah.
coming back to our
In actual
region.
fact, you're getting hit
I agree
3
with you.
times. When you go to Brisbane, you get hit with a toll.
Correct, which we've already paid for these roads,
Yeah.
umpteen $1,000
So when I go to Brisbane, I find all the back routes.
$40
So I don't
to go over and
and
back.
400 lights.
and just
Okay.
just with the $200 road levy and all the rest of it, I don't like it either. And I will still, and I said before, I will try and get rid of it. But at the moment, because of the way the state government and the federal government are handling out money, right, the situation would be if we let that road levy off, we would have no money whatsoever to do any roads and any improvements. Now, you guys are upset with the condition of the roads now. Imagine if we had no road levy, right? Now, I've taken in mind before you start yelling and screaming at me, I don't like it either. But at the moment, we've got to have it or we can't do anything. The thing with the road levy is when Keith rang me and asked me if I wanted to do the roads and drainage, I said on the proviso I get 3 guarantees. And that was the fact, no, that was the fact that, right, it was touted to be put into your general rates, which would then go onto the CPI increase and your $200 would become who knows when and where it would stop, right? I said it stays at $200, it's collected at $200 for road levy, it's utilised and used for roads only, right? I can sit here quite comfortably right in front of you and tell you that is the 3 guarantees I've got. It will happen, and that's what I said to you in the next 2 years. I'm hoping that will or roll out to be seen to be making improvements in the road.
But are you saying we're going to wait 2 years to get our roads done?
Not necessarily.
We've been waiting for
We
already.
haven't had our road cut since amalgamated.
Yeah.
Haven't seen the road.
Yeah,
what-
you know, which road is that,
Which
Brian?
roads?
Albion Road and Burnett.
Which one?
Just up
Spud knows about it, just round the
Just
corner.
turn up on your left, go up, but it's not far.
Well, Spud,
We had a washout in the road and it took 6 months to get a bit of dirt put in it. But it did have an advantage because the milk truck and all the trucks had to pull up and go through it and I had no dust in the house. So we did have-
Well, leave it there then.
yeah.
And that's the thing, Brian, there's so many people, just like you, the people that I went and spoke to with the council up near the game the other day, same story. There is people right through the whole shire. So what we're trying to do is create more productivity and get our machines working, get, as you know, say, more bang for your buck. That's what we're trying to get the people out there. We've tried to do it in the budget, created a whole year grader crew specifically to concentrate on rural roads. You know, other than that, I don't know too much. Like, hopefully that's going to, it's going to make a difference. I really believe that in the next 12 months or 2 years, and we've got people in Kingaroy now yelling and screaming at us because we've taken off these major projects.
You mean the bike tracks and walking tracks?
No, these are capital works tracks.
See the ones out of my portfolio they've taken off.
But let them yell and scream, we've been yelling and screaming for 16 years.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's
exactly right. So,
I go to Kingaroy and it's lovely, it's pristine, everything's mowed, lovely. Big roundabouts, so they've got to mow roundabouts. They did rip the trees out of the near my tent, thank God for that. What a danger that was, you couldn't turn, you had to look around a tree.
Can I just also say that
You haven't finished that, go on, sorry about that.
Spud and I and Keith both sit on the Traffic Advisory Committee meeting, and every 4 months we meet with Department of Transport, Department of Main Roads, Police and anybody else to do with traffic. One of the things we've been really trying to do is change this one-way bridge up here. That we see that as a real danger throughout this area, so we've made sure Main Roads have taken notice of that, and we want them to look at that one seriously, because that's
That originally was a two-way.
yeah.
You know what their fix was, Paul? When I first had my first traffic advisory committee meeting, they were going to put guardrails back up there and that was going to be left. I said, well, you can do that, but I said, you're wasting money. I said, it's a complete waste of time, need replaced.
But
So we jumped the queue.
why didn't they put a new bridge in there, 3 or 4 years ago, when they put all that decking under for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and now they're going to knock the bridge out and put another one in?
You're obviously voting for the wrong council 3 years ago.
I can't even get a vote in this shire.
All right.
See, the big Vernon roads are concrete and we can't even get a little bit over our creeks.
A digging repair on that bridge was done with that flood recovery money from the federal government.
Yeah.
So that's separate.
Get back your portfolio on swimming pools, parks and gardens and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you lease the pools out? Are they leased out or council run?
No, they're leased out. Well, we're trying to lease them out. We have to, they're out for tender at the moment. We're looking,
We have lessees who operate the pool.
that's right.
Yeah,
They manage
They're tenders
but
at the moment.
they don't absorb the operational costs. Look, the honest reply to that is no one, not anyone, within the South Burnett region could make a business out of swimming pools. And the reality is, and Councillor Height tells this story, is it the Morton Regional Council?
No, Logan.
Logan
Just-
Regional
Yeah,
Council.
you want me to give that
You
quick
tell
example?
us.
I'll say a quick example. In the South Burnett, we have 6 swimming pools, right? We've got a population of about 32,000. Logan,
These are all council pools and all
yeah,
that?
6
Yeah.
we've got.
Yeah.
Logan also has 6 pools. So all their ratepayers have got to maintain those 6 pools. They have 450,000 residents. So of course, we pay, every rate notice has, I think it's about $50 goes towards maintaining pools. I don't know what it is down in Logan, it's probably $10.
Yeah.
But I mean, what would you suggest? The other thing is, you know, councils do have a bit of a responsibility to have pools because we do want kids to learn to swim. Otherwise kids will die if they don't learn to swim. So although we're
No pools in
subsidised,
any of the schools, is there?
Blackford
Blackford
is
Cross.
across.
And they are shared.
They share some of the costs.
Difference to having a pool public pool for
It's
everyone.
a shared arrangement. The school has it through the school hours, and the community has it outside hours, but council still pays for the manager of the pool outside the school hours.
And so that is a service
Business
that
to do with that, that'd be
Yes.
sponsored.
Yeah.
The state government maintains the pools.
No,
we
we
maintain
We
it.
pay, it's a combined,
Currently-
it's combined,
Currently
because we've got community, it's sort of.
Haven't they got a weir up there?
Currently, our cost of our pool, maintenance per year is nearly $1
Send
million.
everybody up to
But
Normally.
unfortunately, that is something we have to
And
provide.
there's no
Well,
maintenance.
I'll break it down for you. I'll break it down.
Let's just have one person talking to each other, right, so we're not yelling over top each other.
I'll break it down for you. Out of every $1,000 of rates that are collected, over $400 of that 1,000 goes towards roads, and $42 goes toward managing our pools and our halls.
Recreation park.
Recreation parks, parks and recreation reserves, $135 of every $1,000 that's collected by way of rates goes
It's
toward.
about 13% or something around there, isn't it?
Yeah, 30.
Yep.
It's,
Yep. Yep.
$600, eh?
See, the thing is,
In the house, not much left.
when you start
What's the
talking about,
wages of it?
when you talk about your swimming pools and your halls, right, this particular hall that we sit in right here, right now, the CWA and the local community cannot and will never be able to afford to operate this hall without the assistance of the council. Now, but there's the question, right? There's the thing, we got a lot of them halls right through, so if we say to you guys, right, we're going to close the Maidenwell hall down, I wouldn't say that to you because I'd be one of the ones jumping up and down. This community does not and will not survive without a hall.
Exactly.
So we're trying to keep the
So
community strong, so we look after all those.
That's the downside to the money that we've got to put out. The swimming pools, you imagine going into the Nango or Kingaroy and saying, righto guys, we're shutting down the swimming pool.
The same with the libraries.
I don't know.
Wouldn't it be cheaper if you only half built it?
That's the sort of stuff. These are services to the community that we have to provide. And that's what you guys ask for.
Straight to Canberra
You're
for that,
running
right?
the business.
Now, Terry, how are you
What
going
happens
down
here.
there?
So that's
Yes,
where
lovely
that's
for
where
them.
You're fine.
Yeah.
You're
we're
fine.
maintaining and upholding those businesses for the services to the community. That's a major cost to the council. It's a major cost.
Was that like that prior to amalgamation?
I don't know.
Because I know in amalgamation, the Nango had quite a good kitty in their kit.
As far as
They're
council.
financial, they're very
We had
financial.
plenty of money.
Yeah, but prior to amalgamation,
Other councils sort of didn't.
I think it
Well,
was,
there's-
but the
well,
ratepayers
some
only paid
were
This-
winners
that-
and
50
losers.
odd percent.
That, sorry, Ross.
Sorry, prior to amalgamation, ratepayers only paid, this is what the mayor alluded to, 50 odd percent of the total budget of council. Now ratepayers have to pay 80%. The federal assistance grant, for example, is less now than what it was in 2007, and that's 10 years ago.
So
They're giving us less money. So where's the, extra money coming from? Because we've still got to
How far
maintain
back
the roads,
did that
maintain
start
the
to
schools.
stop?
Sorry?
How far back did that start to stop?
Oh, it kept going up.
We were 50
till
in
2007,
amalgamation. Where were we at amalgamation? 50?
2008 was
58%. Right.
2008
And
was
then
about,
we just kept going up and up because
that's right.
the other pair we paid taxes to kept taking it away from
Yeah,
us.
they could
That's
take
Because
basically-
they couldn't run their own
Yeah.
thing either.
Because realistically, why do you think state government amalgamated councils? Do you think they did it because they're warm and fuzzy? They did it to save money.
Yep.
And they did it to save money, and then we, the council, have to pick up the pieces and
'Cause they-
try and provide the same services with less money.
That's right, they said amalgamation was going to save ratepayers money, but it hasn't, it's cost money.
Yeah.
There are two reasons. There was
State to state
the one main reason why amalgamation happened was this: local government, Queensland local governments across Australia were in financial difficulty because of cost shifting from state to federal parliament. LGAQ Queensland had two reports commissioned, one by Pricewaterhouse, the other by Cooper's Lybrand, both proven conclusively that the reason why local governments were in financial difficulty was cost shifting from state to federal government. So Beattie said, got his big stick out and said, it's time to teach you blokes a bloody lesson. So that's when amalgamation came on. Amalgamation wasn't planned, wasn't costed, had no scope for where they were going. And then they put these councils all together, and this council had an enormous bill in the first 4 years just for the communications, trying to bring this all together. So that's the reason why we've got amalgamation. Let me say this, Kingaroy was all for amalgamation because at the end of the day, littler towns, particularly Wondai and Mergen, were having great difficulty and will continue to have great difficulty because of their small population. You know, so that's, you know, and given time, once we, you know, the council for the last 8 years probably been spending a huge amount of money still pulling it all together because there's, like the list of stuff here we've got here, all those things tonight, we have no agreements with those things. Council have just inherited them all. So we've got to work through lease agreements and who's going to be responsible for what. Some have the capacity, are financially viable to pay some of their costs and things like that, and that's what we're sifting through at the moment. But we'll try to keep open the little ones that are a little like your hall here, or say the Tumbia tennis courts for the 6 or 7 ladies that might play tennis once or twice. We will continue to try to do that as long as we can possibly afford to do that. But somewhere along the line we have to rationalise.
How long do the residents have to pay subsidised for the fuel?
Well, we're all doing that, aren't we? Through our house insurance, through our public liability, through everything. We're all doing that. That's what it's about.
I remember in the papers when you were looking for millions for your wastewater treatment plant, it said everybody will be paying for the wastewater treatment plant. Everybody. We don't use it.
No, only people.
How do we?
Only, it wouldn't be everybody the wastewater treatment, it would
I
only
have a
be
wastewater,
people.
I have a wastewater treatment plant which I'm now paid to fix your one up.
Yeah, no, you
I have
wouldn't be
one in my
paid for it,
own
only
property.
people who have
I
connected
have
to
one
the
in the
town.
property and I have to pay to keep it maintained. I was just wondering if I could share that cost around with anybody that comes to my property.
You mean to spend a penny?
Yeah, you made me spend a penny if I go to pick it up.
Could you imagine the amount of staff we'd need extra just to try to monitor that for a start, if you possibly could?
No, it's the same again, you use
We
it
have
mine.
help. Sorry?
Can I just,
If I'm a non-user,
sorry,
and
can
you
I just
make me
use an
pay.
example
Again,
there?
I don't use the pool, but you're making me pay.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
I dare say all one here, we go down.
Thank you for
down
coming.
the water on.
Thank you.
can I just use an example prior to amalgamation, and I'm more familiar with Wondai, but in 1999, Wondai needed a new water treatment plant, because, you know, obviously, people have to live in the towns, have to be provided with water. Wondai was the smallest shire in the state, just about, hardly any people. So they said to the state government, you need to pay for our water treatment plant because we have so few people, we cannot afford it. So that water treatment plant was paid 100% by the state government. Roll forward a few years, Kingaroy wastewater treatment plant needs replacing, and it's $26 million. And the state government, well, they did give us 10 million towards it, but that was good. But we couldn't turn around and say to them, please would you pay for all of it? Because they said no. I mean, we were lucky because we got I forget where we got the 10 million from, but state government, what was it?
It was through royalties.
Royalties for the region. Yeah. So that's the difference. When the little regions, where the little councils were there, state government had to pay for these things because they physically could not pay for it. By amalgamating, they've made bigger councils and now they expect us to pay for more stuff.
Financially, if I run my property and don't look ahead and put the monies ahead that this car will last that long, I need to make sure I've got it saved up, this won't last, I need this and this. Are we looking at the same situation here where you as custodians for the people that are running the council, you've got to look ahead?
Yep.
So that money's got to be there in escrow, ready for the
So what they've done
repair,
is,
so you don't keep burdening,
yeah,
i.e. especially pensioners, like you want another 2.5% rise. The pensioner never sees a 2.5% rise from the government, so what you do to the pensioner is he's down here and you're down here and his money's going in, and the baked beans are getting $1.80 instead of $1.20. So we're now down to baked beans and less baked beans and less baked beans, and you're going 2.5%. And I do remember the time here when our rates went up by 100%. It went from 300 to 700 because the state what do they call that thing?
Land valuation.
The land valuation went from this
Yep.
double to that, the council went, good, thank you. They didn't go this and put 5% on, they went this and this, you see? And then we just had a $10,000 deduction in our land valuation,
Yeah.
but our rates didn't go that way. The rate stayed up there because it's a bit unfair, wasn't it?
But council
We were saying,
still
good,
contract.
Yeah,
drop
it's
it,
another,
wasn't it? Because
yeah.
we know that it's not that money.
It's another big exercise in formula, the one that you're talking about, and I'll be happy to show
What's that number again?
you and explain it to you. But you know, you need to sit down with a pen and paper to sort of properly explain it.
But
Well,
can
how
I
about
just answer that question about, we do put money away in reserves for future.
Yeah.
So as when we're with our Merlin or Kingaroy, they had money in, some money, but it was nowhere near enough. So they had some in reserve.
But it's
Yeah.
more depreciation. All these assets now have to be depreciated, and that depreciation money has to be then used
it's
to
reinvested back into
our
capital.
capital assets.
So this census might be a good thing for areas, I find out how many.
Well,
Since it's so important for us, absolutely. It
If
is
you
very
can log
important.
on and do it.
Yeah. Now, okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to move on to another presenter. And that presenter is going to be Councillor Potter. And Councillor Potter is one of our newbies. This is her first year. Her first year as a councillor. I'd have to say that I'm very happy with the quality of councillors that you guys have elected. Well, I guess you guys elected Councillor Spud Jones. Not all of them. Not all of them. Well, those of you who did put a tick against his name, you did well. And, you know, you're still waiting for it. Well, there you go. But anyway, I'm very happy with our team of councillors in the sense that they are able to throw their weight into their particular portfolio areas and take a global look of the South Burnett rather than, in Councillor Potter's case, she represents...
Done well if he's gone again, but,
Sorry?
Governor's done well if he's gone all that again.
Well, almost,
It's about
not
your-
quite,
of
yeah,
the-
that's right, that's right. Councillor Potter's division is Division 3, which is half of the Kingaroy area, from Haley Street south and out in the Coolabunga, Goodger type areas. Councillor Potter?
Right, some of you already know me, but yep, Danita Potter, and I've got the Community Health Services and the Arts portfolio, which includes dogs, food hygiene, the RADF program, community assistance funding. I also cover the libraries, so all the library programs, your first fives, your rhyme times and things like that go on in the libraries. I'm also cover healthy communities and environmental protection and the some of the environmental and local laws. So if you've got any questions, head them my way.
Okay, now, so that's another element that council takes a very large interest in. Libraries, for example. Now, I know that there is a library out here, and that's right, just through the door. But there are many activities that are run in the bigger libraries, and people genuinely enjoy. Now I'm just trying to have a look at Danita to see how much money is spent on $43 out of every $1,000 is spent on libraries. In terms of the arts, I can't...
With
well,
the
look, here.
libraries, it's not just the libraries, it's not just about the books. I mean, if you go to the Kingaroy Library, anyone can go to there. You've got free Wi-Fi. They do, you know, you can get this free Spanish lessons. They do different talks on different days. They've got a talk coming up on Seniors Week. You've got Tony Turton's doing his book delivery. You've got a talk coming up by Barry Crosh with regards to the Special Police Unit from 1948 to 1989 or something. So it's just
wasn't born in 1949.
Yeah, no, it's about that.
Sorry.
That's the time of year. It's about the special police unit. But yeah, so it doesn't just cover the books. It's not just about books. I walked into that library one day and it blew me away because there was a group playing mahjong there, there was a group playing chess over here, and there was a group of people playing cards in another section of the library.
Using a community hall.
Yeah, it's a community place where people get together, and it's really nice to see that people are using it. It's just really good to see that people come in and use the library. And out in Proston, the library's a little hub. They have so many different things going on in the library out Cathy's Way. It's just beautiful to see. I mean, if it wasn't for the library, I'm sure that library's actually saved lives by the community connection it actually gives them.
Yes.
So yeah, so it's not just about the books, it's about, the libraries to me are more about a community and about a getting together and joining.
Okay, so that's Danita's role and doing it very well.
Is that Miss Potter or Mrs.?
Mrs. Yes.
Yes. Otherwise you've got Mrs. Otherwise you've got to deal with my husband.
No, I just need to address you.
Poor bugger, you want to see him?
So, councillor.
Does he own a pub?
No.
He's got a drinking problem, but...
He doesn't even drink, so it's all good.
But he's not called
We don't
Harry.
want to know him.
Okay, well there we are. So we'll now ask Councillor Ros Frolov, and the last listening tour that we conducted in Namango, I had a lurgy-urgy, and I think the gentleman sitting over there, I was coughing and spluttering into his camera, but now Councillor Frolov tonight has a little bit of a
Don't blame me.
the flu of some sort, so deal with her kindly and gently,
I got
okay?
out of my deathbed for this.
So,
Don't share it.
Councillor Frolov, if you'd like to speak to the group, please.
My portfolio is water and wastewater, waste management and sport and recreation. For water and wastewater, we have the bulk water storage, which is the two dams, BP and Bunduma. Bulk water treatment, water service delivery, wastewater treatment, wastewater service delivery. With our waste management is waste collection, landfills and transfer stations. And sport and rec is sporting development and sporting grants. And that you've got two waste facilities here in Maidenwell, one in Bunya Mountains waste facility, which has a drop-off point for batteries, car batteries, truck batteries, and also
Whereabouts is that one?
that's at the Maidenwell one. You can
Transfer station.
Marta 11. Where do you put the batteries? On the ground.
Batteries.
Yeah, mate, well, yeah.
yeah.
Whereabouts?
They put the beds there one time.
They put everything there, mate.
I know.
There's not too many of
That's
our
what we
own.
call it,
It's
Marta.
Maidenwell.
No, we call it Marta 11.
Marta 11.
It disappears.
I'm going to look at
It will be tomorrow.
Not my car.
And the Bunya Mountains is just a domestic general waste facility, and they're open 7 days a week. So,
Right. Could I just ask, many years ago when it was Mayor Carter, they had a meeting in the hall here. I think I was the only one that turned up to query some things. But they were talking about moving the bins down at the entrance of Maidenwell up to a site on the Bunya Mountains Road, just up the road a bit. They had land bought and was going to be a driveway in and put the bins out of sight. Has that been shelved, or do you know anything about that?
no, I don't. Do you
Well,
know?
look, I remember that meeting because I
Yeah.
happened to be here, as would have Councillor Duff. We did toss that issue around, and it was decided at that point of time. Was there the skip bins down here?
I think so, because they said it was unsightly for people to come into the town and see all the rubbish and stuff, and they had land bought up at the Bunya Mountains Road, just a bit out of town, and they were going to put the bins.
Well, I do
up
remember,
there.
yes, it was just at the start of the amalgamation, so it would have been around about 8 years ago, perhaps maybe even 7 years ago. And we could take that on board as a point. So you would like to see the
I just wondered whether they'd scrap that idea or whether
Yeah.
When it was portfolio previously, there was some discussions on that. I think, if I remember right, there was two issues. One is that because that's a main road, they would have to widen the road to allow people to pull off. So that would have been very expensive. And I think there was a community meeting and half the community did want it moved and half didn't. And I think the staff sort of said, well, you tell us, you know, when you all want the same thing. And of course, it was split 50-50, some did and some didn't. So it got put back on the back burner. But I think they then fenced it round there and emptied it more often to try and address that issue. Is it okay now? It's not overflowing too often?
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's good?
Yeah, well,
And you're
it
happy
was,
with it generally?
Only
I'd rather
the-
have it rated that than something done with that anyway.
it was tidied up. It was tidied up.
That road, the edges off the road is very rough and potholy and it sticks down.
It's very difficult to get in if you go into the small
It
car.
needs a bit of a grading a little bit into the, you only got a part up here that's good and down here that it keeps washing out all the
Yeah,
time.
well, Councillor Ross will make a note of that and see whether or not.
It needs, you know, so that you can drive in instead of coming up and then going in where it's better to drive, otherwise you've got to go over
So it needs
a
a lot
gully,
of gravel or
Yeah.
something.
little gully about that deep.
It needs forming up and bitumen further in, bitumen the whole section into the whole.
Yeah, talking bitumen sounds good.
And it's not going to be a major, if you're going to add the costs and efforts of putting gravel in there and all formed up and everything else, by the time you finish it, you do it properly, you'd have the spray truck there and run bitumen over top of it.
It's all right for the people that haven't got bins, but I've seen a few vehicles come in there that don't even live around Maidenwell, empty rubbish there.
Yeah,
That's why they get so
I've seen that in
full.
the Nago too.
When you get contractors in to seal the roads and that, once they've finished the last spray and gone, is that the end of their responsibility?
I don't think it should be, but I don't,
No, it wouldn't be. They've got to have
It
some
should.
responsibility to make sure it's done
Yeah,
correctly.
there'll be some liability, the road breaks up 2 months, 6 months down,
Oh, yeah,
down
no,
the
we get
track.
back
Yeah.
to them.
And especially the money they're collecting for it, and I've noticed a few times.
Are we back on the roads?
But can I just
you'll have an opportunity before we go.
Can I just mention about the bins? Kathy probably knows more about this than me, but at the time, you know, when, I guess in amalgamation, a lot of other regions, particularly for example Toowoomba, they actually cut down on the number of waste transfer centres. And I think Kathy, who represents a rural area at that time, advocated fairly strongly that we should have more of these waste transfer centres because it's a service. So the trouble is we've got more of them, which does mean people from other regions who live near the border, it's closer to come to ours than it is to go to theirs.
Because they
That
did
was
close it like
the
that.
decision that was made. Sorry, Kathy, you know more about
Yeah,
it.
so
It was
we
you that advocated.
Yeah, I was trying to, because Toowoomba Regional Council was closing a lot of their rural tips, and there was a big push in our
Got a big
council
one out of
to
town.
close our tips, and I fought really hard to keep that service for rural people, so that's why we've got additional tips, and now they're crossing.
Everybody else uses it.
They're using our tips, that's the issue, but.
Why can't we get the rubbish picked up and down at the school?
Sorry?
Why can't we get the bins picked up down at the school?
The school's got bins down at the school, and for them to get their rubbish taken away, they've got to bring it up here. I actually mentioned this, and they haven't had much. Good on you, Russell.
Yeah, I'll put you in it, that's all right.
Cost me a beer later. The school's got bins down at the school, and for them to get their rubbish taken away, they've actually got to put it in a vehicle and bring it up to that transfer station for it to get taken away. Now, we asked if we put something down there. I think we even addressed a skip bin or something to have the truck, the JJ Richards truck go down there once a week would probably be enough, or Tuesday or something like that would be enough. And we got no response really. They just said it was too hard basket or something. They didn't want to know too much about it. But
Is that Richards or the council?
Richards.
didn't want to know.
The Richards
Pretty
would
much
do it
them
for a
and
fee, wouldn't they?
then us.
Probably want to pay.
yeah, well, it's an extra cost, see, and the cost come and then they wanted the school to say, well, yeah, all right, we'll pay for that service, but like for Christ's sake, it's a little community, they don't need to pay that, they're struggling, you know, for the amount of money once a week, once a fortnight may even be enough to skip it, so, you know, we're not asking much, so as far as rubbish goes, Mayor Campbell, if you bitumen the entrance to your transfer station down here and got a truck down to the school, I reckon you'd be on a winner.
You're in charge of roads, you get that, Richard.
Look, I think that's a fair enough comment. Ros, Council Proliff will follow that one up. I've made a note in my book as well to pursue it as well. You know, the school probably generates a certain amount of rubbish.
How far is the walk from the school to go? What's the road, they got to put the bin?
You remember that schools don't pay any rates, by the way.
Yeah, no, neither the churches, like, I'm a bit dirty on that.
You know, we're already subsidising schools, but of course it is.
While you're writing something down in your little book, I had visitors up from Brisbane and they were going up to Bunya Mountains. They had a small car and when they checked with the Bunya Mountains people that they were renting the place from, the road showed that there was bitumen up to a point and then there's gravel and then you've got bitumen again. Now I don't know whether that gravel bit has been upgraded, but you're missing, they ended up having to go right into Kilroy and come up through that way. Because I said to them, don't come up the Dolby way, I came up at my small car and it's a murderous.
That's a state-controlled road, we're trying to.
We want it bitumen, it should be bitumen.
Well, you know, I think that
People
you're
been
missing out
trying to get
tourists.
that bitumen.
Oh yeah. I mean that's a very strong point. People who hire
Especially wine.
cars.
Why can't we get it done?
Well, you've got to get the state government.
I know, but
We've been
Don't
advocating
worry,
for a long
don't worry. It is
it's a main road up to the Bunya Mountains, which is
It's
a
not
tourist
major
road,
tourist
which should be prioritised.
I know.
Totally agree.
The gentleman over here before made points about that. We need to, I mean, we're trying to get the state government to spend more money out in our regions because all the money's going down to the southeast corner, so that's the issue. We need to, but what the mayor said was we're trying to get Wide Rock regional organisation of councils to lobby to get more money to our regions because that's the issue. We're not getting
It's a secondary main road, is that correct?
a secondary main road, it's a main road.
Yeah, but you've got your main roads, you've got the secondary main roads.
It's not a highway, it's a main road, yeah.
So is the main road decision to do it, or is it yours?
It's
No,
main
no,
road.
it's main road,
Yeah,
yeah.
main road, it's not our decision.
Yeah.
So,
I thought the young fellow in Kingaroy about that Barker Creek and Middle Creek there, they get them fixed up, they get some serious potholes there. And they're not real wide bridges, and I said to him, I said, if somebody happened to hit a pothole and the car coming up with the direction, I said, could end up with a serious accident there and then got council liable for the state liable for the damages or life or whatever. No, they came out within a month. So do you contact some, get a state government, do some contact work with the government on those?
Yeah, well, no, so you spoke to somebody in council about it?
Yeah, the Kingaroy.
What, in the council office?
In the council office,
Yeah,
the
so
young fellow.
you put a complaint in or
I did,
a
yeah, I put a
request?
complaint in, yeah.
Well, it'll be in the system then, and
Oh, it's been fixed up, they've come out since I put the complaint.
well, there you
yes,
go.
so we get we contract, the state government contracts us to do the maintenance on
Yeah.
those state roads.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're only asking the people paying compliment to it.
So that'd be a positive, mate, I got one
We
right.
don't,
I don't know.
we just cover it, all we can do is
I
cover
couldn't believe how quick it was, but as I said, it was a very dangerous position, you like get down on the two bridges there.
Well, when you tell them the main road's out, but you can't fix the road again.
That's basically what happens.
That's what happens.
Yeah, that's basically what happens as far as fixing of main roads within our regional council area. Once the money is gone, as far as the main roads allocate a certain budget amount each year, once that's gone, it's gone.
And you would have noticed the signs up, rough road ahead, have you seen that on the state roads, because there's no money to fix it, so they just put it on.
Look, governments are not noted for their long time foresight, but I'll tell you one thing, one person was, and that was John Howard.
Government, oh, we've had a complaint about such and such a road, like this section going up the
Yeah,
Burnett.
absolutely, it's good.
Because I remember Wayne Cashman put a bit in the paper there one stage about this section there. He said, if you don't like it, come round through Kingaroy. That was referring to people from Brisbane, from Toowoomba and Dolby and stuff.
Yeah, well, look,
Go to Kingaroy and come up.
we continue to lobby wherever we can as far as that road
If you're
is
in a
concerned.
marginal seat, if we're in a marginal seat, you'd be more likely to get a few dollars at election time to get some money.
That's the fighting that's doing the second heading when there's a bit of water on it. It's all the play on top, there's no gravel there.
The only innovative thing in road expenditure in the last 20 years was under John Howard as the government. He brought in called Roads to Recovery, which he broke. He put a pile of money into this, but he also brought in what they call the Roads Alliance groups, which were a group of councils that bunched together and they got a pot of money. They had to then sit down each year, and we're still doing, Keith, aren't we?
Yes.
Sitting down each year and they look at the priority of those roads and agree together which of those roads in. And that's the most sensible thing I've ever seen the federal government do in the last 40 years, because nobody knows our roads better than we do. And that's, you know, if they could do more of that sort of stuff, I think the money would go a lot further than what they do at the moment, because main roads are hopeless, I think.
But the trouble is, when they go and decide which road should we look at, they look at the traffic counts.
Yeah.
When the Bruce Highway has 10,000 cars a day, and our road has 10 cars a day,
That's right.
where do they spend the money?
I realise that, love.
Yeah, so it's frustrating.
Okay.
But small jobs, like that section there,
Wouldn't be much.
wouldn't be much at all. Anyhow, well, listen to you, love, sorry about that.
No, Ros, I think Ros has finished about her rubbish and
My
water.
Maidenwell portfolio, yeah.
Yes. And for a new councillor, she's got a good grip on all. Somebody quick here, she's got a good grip. She's got a good grip on rubbish. That's not very close.
Wastewater.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
You don't take over both.
Not in the road, I'm sure, I know.
No vacancy,
So
sorry.
he's speaking about Yarraman. Why don't you duck across and see Paul Antonio? He owns Yarraman.
Yeah.
Did you get that one? Yeah. It's Toowoomba Regional Council.
It is actually,
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
But even if it was in the South Burnett Regional Council,
No, I'm just saying that they're pretty expensive to run like the council.
Yeah,
The city
well,
was there.
yeah,
It
exactly.
was very expensive.
Yeah, yeah.
Your costs are unbelievable.
You can't even keep your members all happy, can you,
You
Brian?
can't.
Smaller version of the council, like.
How much to join? $5.
Now look, we're going to move to a subject that is near and dear to all of our hearts, and that is money. Councillor Ros Height is the finance portfolio holder, so she'll talk to you about issues pertaining to money.
Well, yes, so I'm Ros Height. I'm from Division 6, and Division 6 is basically, if you look at the South Burnett, it's all the left-hand side. So it's over half of the South Burnett, but of course it's the least populated. So when it comes to, you know, the traffic count on roads, invariably the roads out in my division don't have an awful lot of cars on them, but they're still got to be kept safe. So I'm certainly very keen on the fact of spending more money on maintaining rural roads. And then my portfolio is finance, HR and IT. Finance is obviously the largest part of that, and we are looking at trying to save money. You'll probably be aware that we're actually changing to half-yearly rates. Hopefully people have heard that, so they're not too shocked when their rates notice comes up. And it's one of those things, we understand that the transition is going to be quite difficult for people, which is why we're giving it 2 months grace until you have to pay the discount. You know, it's still the discount period for 2 months.
Can't those pensioners still pay at all?
Sorry, anybody can do instalments, and we're really keen for people to sort of do instalments, because people I've spoken to who do instalments find it a lot easier if you can set up to pay so much per week, and then when your rates bill comes, you only owe $50 or something, and it becomes a lot more manageable. So I would encourage people to set that up, and if you phone the office, they're happy to guide you through how to set that up.
And that's any office, any of the customer service offices.
Can help you set that
How
up.
many of them we got?
6.
As
in all the offices. So that has been, you know, quite a significant move back to half-yearly rates. But as you can see, we've got to try and save money where we can. We can't shut pools, shut libraries, whatever. But we can save money in lots of little ways. And this is a way, because obviously sending out 4 rates notices a year all that extra postage. So two, we can save it, and obviously it's less staff time and they can spend more time helping people set up instalments, do all those sorts of things. But we do recognise that that first one's going to be a little bit of a shock to the system for people who aren't aware of it.
Is it going to be, are we going to be paying in advance with that? Or?
It depends when you want to pay. The bill will come out on about the 23rd of August, and then the discount period I think is 23rd of October or
But
25th.
our last one was in
June, July,
Yeah.
June.
Yeah,
So
it
we're
covers, it will cover to
come
the
in
31st
3
of
months. We're
December.
going to pay for 6 months. So
Yes.
Yes,
we're going to be
it'll
paying
be 6 months.
3 months in advance.
Yes. Because I mean, previously councils used to pay annually.
Brad?
Do you have the actual figure or percentage that going to 6 monthly rates will save, council?
There was a figure we went, it was over.
It was mentioned at the last
100,000.
meeting.
It was in the order of $160,000.
And what percentage of the overall budget for the 6 months or year would that $150,000 be?
Well, the total budget for the year, including capital expenditure, is up around 70 million. So 138,000 divided by 70 million times 100.
So very little
I'm not
percentage.
clever enough to do that in my head.
Not a huge percentage,
But I mean, it's those little, lots of little small things is where we can save
it's all
money.
savings, yes.
What does it cost you to send out a paper bill?
Well, $1 for the
Rate
postage.
notice?
Actually, I did see that figure. Was it 78 cents plus the $1 for the postage? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Plus
Something.
the paper,
Yeah.
plus the stamp, plus.
Yeah. So that's why reducing them to 2 bills a year instead of 4. And the other thing is, for those people who live in town, the water usage is metered twice a year. So in town, you used to get 4 rates bills, 2 with water and 2 without. And people would get confused because they'd say this rates notice is a lot larger than the last one, and then the next one's smaller, and they didn't always follow that. Whereas this way, there'll be 2 a year, and they'll both include the water rates, water notices.
Has council considered electronic rate notices?
If people want them emailed, we're more than happy to email them to
You
people.
can have
And we
them
do
emailed,
have a
yes.
proportion of people
Yeah.
who have
Not
them emailed.
everyone has a computer.
Yeah, and some of the pensioners
Yeah.
email them too.
Yes, and that's right.
No, not everyone can run one either.
And there still are black spots as well. So there are people who have or who would like to have a computer, but it won't work because there's black spots.
The other thing that we're doing is, if you're in Brisbane or the Sunshine Coast, you actually have your rates bill, and then all the water and sewerage is run by Urban Utilities or Unity Utilities, I think is the one in the Sunshine Coast. And so sometimes people look at our rates bill, and then they look at the rates bill in Brisbane and say ours are twice as much, because they're not considering the fact that they also get an Urban Utilities bill. So on the rates bill, we're actually changing the format of it, and it'll say the rates, the utilities, and then the state government charges, just to break it down so people can understand that difference. So that's just
When
a
the Beatty
format.
fiasco happened and made us super councils, and then Beatty had to put all the pipework in, which is an absolute schmozzle.
Hang on, what pipe work? Sorry,
The pipework for them, we had no water in the country,
oh right.
and we had a big water treatment plant in the Gold Coast, which is
Oh, the desalination.
White
Yeah,
Talent.
yeah.
They then created this, they took the rates off, water rates off the councils and created this utility, and then they charged everybody $800 a year connection fee. So they were getting their money back by ripping the people off.
The other thing is, I mean,
And
our
the water on that rate which was about $20 each quarter.
yeah,
So the water was only like $100 a year. The money that makes it push it.
We do have a
is
water access fee.
$800.
Yeah, we have, but the other thing is, in terms of the amount, for the first 80 kilolitres of water, we charge people $1.43 or $1.44, something like that. In Brisbane, they charge over $3 per kilolitre. So it's a huge difference. And realistically, if you're going to, pipe water around Kingaroy, there's not that many people. If you're going to pipe it around Brisbane, it'd be a lot easier because there's an awful lot more connections per kilometre and things. Yet they still charge a lot.
The connections were already there.
Yeah, I'm not sure
They
whether
got charged $800 a year for a connection they already had because they had to somehow pay for this white elephant water system that they put in so they could pump sewage
Yes.
back up to.
I don't know if that's true. You
You
say
pumped
it.
up here.
Could be.
That is right. It did happen in a lot of those southeast Queensland regional council areas.
But there's actually nothing stopping the state government deciding to come to the South Burnett and do their utilities themselves. And I think you would notice a huge jump in the utilities. So we're hoping that doesn't happen because we feel we can provide a better service. But, you know, it's not as though the councils had any say in it. The state government made that decision when those went to urban utilities and Unity Water, because they're all state-owned corporations.
As a matter of interest, Kingaroy Shire Council is one of the few towns in Queensland that owned its own water supply, Gordonville Dam, but we're only given a historical allocation now. I think it's about 1,500 megalitres a year.
Around about that, yeah. The dam holds about 6,000 megalitres when full, but we're limited as to the amount of water that we can take from it. And yeah, it's less than, in fact, I think it's less than 1,500 megalitres, rather it's more like about 1,100 or 1,200.
I think it's about 12.
1,200
But would
megalitres.
you use that or not?
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
yeah, we use it.
That's a bit more, I suppose.
Yep.
Well, I think it's around about that 1,200 megalitres, and you know, as the town and the region grows, well, of course, the demand for more water is going to grow as well, and that's part of my argument in relation to this exercise that we're doing through the Economic Development Unit on water for irrigation purposes.
It is now the new liquid gold. Water's very expensive.
Is there any idea we come up about putting a ban on Barker Creek?
Wouldn't it be a great idea? Love it.
It was Dublin, they did have one planned for there years ago.
Yeah, it's a brilliant spot for a dam, and yes, they should.
I agree with you.
We'll spare a couple of millions to do it.
Sorry, do you
Yeah.
have any?
The other two parts of my portfolio, HR and ICT. HR is obviously about, you know, managing and looking after our staff. All the councils have their own award, and there is some talk about there being a state award for local government employees, but that's in the lap of the gods and the unions for them to decide if that does happen. And then ICT, obviously with amalgamation we had to have a system which went over all of the 5 offices and libraries and depots and things. So we have invested quite heavily in a new IT system. And those things aren't cheap, but hopefully it is reaping some rewards and efficiencies as we go forward. So I don't know if there's any questions on finance ICT.
One of the other matters that comes up under finance is the support that council gives to community organisations, and also community organisations and also rate rebates to community organisations. Now I see Elaine smiling quite broadly there because council is a big supporter of the likes of the QCWA organisations throughout the region, and the library, and these girls do a great job within the region. And I personally, and I'm sure this is a view that's held by all of the councillors, there's a lot of people within the whole of the South Burnett region who do an enormous amount of work voluntarily for the good of the rest of us. You know, anybody who doesn't commit to some voluntary work, within the region, we rely, you might say, on those who do. When it comes to, well, there's a myriad of sporting groups, there's a myriad of clubs, groups, organisations, and they work their fingers to the bones. Why do they do it? Well, they do it because they love it. Who gets the benefit from it? Well, they do because they get pleasure out of doing that work. But it's those of us who then turn up to their events and,
The QCWA scones.
The QCWA scones are to die for. Not yours, Elaine. Well, there you go. But, and there's a sizable sum of money each year that's given. Now,
750,000.
yeah. But we are going to take a look at, the money that's handed out, only from the point of view that there are some clubs, groups, organisations that might do a bit of double dipping, you might say. They may get a rebate on their rates or something else, but then they'll put in a grant application for, something else, because there's about $100,000 of community grants that are given out, again, for very worthwhile purposes, It's all for the benefit of the community. No private individual gains any benefit from it. It's all for the good of the community, and we as a region, and I will say this quite honestly because this is how I feel, we benefit from having a community that is rich in terms of, you know, the effort that's put in by people voluntarily, and I will never take that away from those good people who do roll up their sleeve. P&C committees, sporting clubs, you know, you name it, great and wonderful people.
Keep people in the area.
Keep people in the area. That you know, that's what makes people,
Quality of life.
you know, gives them a pleasure and a joy living in the area.
Yes.
We will be checking on that. We will be reducing some of that money though.
Well,
won't be handling it.
Yeah, we, as I say, we are going to
If
take.
you went through that, you wouldn't need any instructions to go and find it yourself. There's some stuff in there that should be given in.
I think we've seen one of them in the paper, actually. Somebody printed them a while back in the paper. One were receiving grants or something.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
you are there.
Yes, they are. Yes, they do. They are printed. Yeah, but there's a very, very long list of the support that council, that's using your rate or a portion of your rate dollars to reinvest back into building the sense of community. Okay, well now we're going to move to the Deputy Mayor. You will never miss Councillor Duff because she will always be wearing pink. So, Councillor Duff, you can, if you would please, explain your portfolio area.
Thank you.
And talk to the audience.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. I'm honoured to have been elected as the Deputy Mayor. I've been a councillor for the last 12 years. I was a councillor in the former Wandai Council for 4 years. I actually marched against amalgamation. I was one of the Red Bra girls. I actually went down to Parliament House and strung red bras across Parliament House to show the blood of the communities, because it was a big, it was supposed to be good for ratepayers, but it hasn't been. Amalgamation has been very tough. I live on the far northwest boundary of the whole South Bend. I'm nearly 2 hours from here, right out in the bush. I think I get elected all the time because I drive all the rural roads.
How far in the bush?
On the far northwest boundary, the other side of Proston. I'm 3/4 of an hour the other side of Proston.
That's your
So,
own way there.
yeah, half, yeah, in Badooma, 10 kilometres past the Badooma homestead. Yeah,
There's
so
a lot more I've been up there.
it's way out.
So do you get paid for driving there to council chambers and back?
Yeah.
Fuel money?
I
How
get,
about we just thank her for coming out here?
No fuel money?
I get,
She gets, well, can I explain? Every councillor provides their own vehicle. They don't get a vehicle supplied. There are other regional councillors that are supplied with a vehicle. What happens in the South Burnett Regional Council is that councillors get a fuel reimbursement and a small amount for maintenance. That's basically the reimbursement that they get for
Plus
their.
you're claiming 5,000 kilometres on your tax.
I can claim on my tax, yeah. But
So the council meeting would be better if you Skype, wouldn't it?
if I had a good internet coverage where I live,
That'd be fantastic. I wouldn't have to listen to a wind all day long.
out where I live, we don't have mobile coverage. I've got a Yagi antenna and I plug
Slow
my,
as?
I've got a Yagi antenna and I plug my mobile phone in to get coverage in one spot on the property. But anyway,
Just don't want to, just hang on a minute. I get $140 a week. I've got the roads portfolio. I've got to cover from that tip to Blackbutt and everywhere in between. I've got to run my
On your
car,
dirt
and
roads?
any damage, it's all incurred and $140 a week's got to fix it, right?
Plus your 5,000 on your tax.
As whatever it is, your Skype idea, fantastic, been suggested before.
Oh, okay.
What would you rather? Would you rather sit here in a meeting like this and talk face to face where you can nut it out, or get on the end of some frigging computer, excuse the French, but that's how I feel about Skype and all the rest of it. If you can deal personally with people and get their feelings and know exactly how they feel when you walk out of this room tonight, I think that's far more beneficial. Now that's been put forward as a cost saving measure, and I don't think it may save money.
Courts.
Waste of time,
Yeah,
They do
but
the courts.
to me, and I think most of these councillors, if you went down the line, would rather sit here in front of you guys, cop whatever you throw at us.
Well, a big stream would get more of the eye.
So don't for 1 minute think we're getting a shitload of money to run all over the shire, mate.
We haven't all got computers
Finance,
either.
we
Yeah,
different ways to save it all.
That's right, but because,
The pension, we look all the time.
Yeah,
yeah.
so do we, mate, that's what we're trying to
But
do.
the other thing I want to say was,
That's not fair, is it?
as part of, the other thing that I think we've got an advantage in the Southland is with amalgamation, we did get divisions. And I think that that's one plus, because we at least have representatives in each area that you can, like if you've got an issue, you go straight to Spud. But in a lot of councils now, they've just got, it's just a whole of region, and they feel like they haven't got representation. So I think we're lucky that we've got divisions, and I'll fight to maintain divisions, because I really do think that at least you have that local representation. And again, I think that this council is a good council because we are really trying, and Councillor Height and I will always fight for the rural areas, because I mean, it's the same as in, like we're saying all the money goes to the southeast corner. We don't want all the money to go to Kingaroy, Merton. We want it to go to represent the whole area, Maidenwell, everywhere. No.
You guys get more than King Orders anyway.
So what I'm saying is that we need to make sure that that's the challenge, and that's why we don't want to close the pools in Proston, and we don't want to close the pool in Blackbutt. We want to keep our transfer stations, because we are an agricultural region and we want to support rural communities. So that's my charter, is to make sure, because I live out in the bush, I understand what rural people need.
I think I can speak for the rest of us here, we appreciate you turning up tonight, coming that distance.
Thank you.
What the cost is.
Yeah, thank you. So my portfolio is NRM Parks and Gardens, and it takes in the Coolabunga sale yards, which Terry forgot to mention when he was talking about all of our facilities. We manage the Coolabunga sale yards. Council owns that actual sale yards. We've got under my portfolio the 2 dams, the airports, and all the parks and gardens, and plus we've got the 2 rail trails. That's the Brisbane Valley, and now this new Kingaroy to Merton one, the South Burnett rail trail. So that's the area of my portfolio. And so if there's any questions about that particular part of my portfolio, I'm happy to answer those questions. And
Tell us how much the rail trail has cost so far.
the rail trail was a cheque from state government for 2 million, and 600,000 of that went to the Gympie area, because it was Kingaroy to Kilkeven. So we got 1.4 million, and that's all. The cost of the rail trail is going to be covered in that 1.4 million, and we're actually sealing the corridor from Kingaroy to Merton, which is about 43 kilometres, and which will be able to, that'll help to cut the cost of ongoing maintenance, because we've actually been able to put a seal on it.
Is that bitumen you put?
It's going to be a bitumen seal, yeah.
Single seal.
Single seal.
Yeah, your road's out again.
And I know that a lot of,
Go and pick some of that one night.
I've had a lot of people say they wish that money had gone on rural roads, and I agree, but that, as you know, a grant goes to a grant, and that was
It's
what
for a
it was.
specific,
It's for
a grant is for a specific purpose.
specific purpose, and that was what it was for, so. I mean, we could,
Traffic improvement fee, doesn't it?
yeah, well, that's what happened. So, that's what we've done, we're trying to make it as a tourist attraction, and, yeah,
Well, it's
so
working down the Brisbane Valley.
Yeah, they get a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people down there. Blackbutt loves that one.
well, we,
I know you hope so, but...
No, Kathy has got some good news.
well, just with the opening, which is happening in probably October, November, we've had like 200 cyclists from Brisbane wanting to come up just for the opening. There's 18,000 cyclists in that cycling Queensland, and the sky's the limit as to how many of those will want to use it. They're very keen to come because of the surface. That bitumen surface is going to make a huge difference to the number of
Yeah,
people.
well, we have these runners do this every year. Do we get anything to
The marathon.
fix their road?
That's what I'm looking for.
They stopped it, don't they?
There's a bit of black soil we've got to get rid of up that road, so we might have a chance for a few
Right,
loads of gravel.
if we get the dirt bikes or the mountain bikes, we'll push them all out your way. Sound like you've got a good road for it.
That, in regards to that rail trail from Kingaroy to Kilkeven, it's with the social media and all the rest of it, how they advertise these days, it's been the most popular item that's ever been put on fate or whatever they call
There's
it.
been more hits on that one than they've ever had on
Oh,
Facebook. It's
That
had,
is-
it's
that is
had a
one
massive
thing.
amount of hits and likes. People are just,
And what they're trying to do, these ladies are trying to get the triathlons and all that. They go and swim at Fixed Crossing and do the swim there, jump on their bikes and all that sort of stuff, and they run and use that rail trail as well. So hopefully, rather than all the people and all the money going to Mervyn and Kingaroy, we might go a drag some down this way at some point.
it's the same
But that's what
distance
they're
as a marathon too, 43 kilometres is a marathon, so we're hoping to attract some marathon runners as well.
What is that one of ours? It's about 23,
They run
43.
56.
They do,
Well, there's another thing, with these people on community work, can they help fix these trails up and stuff like that?
Well,
or what?
we have had the CTC doing work on the corridor already.
Oh, did you? Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yes,
Good.
that's-
Tw-
And that's part of the plan for the future, to have CTC through there, the unemployed people, to do electric maintenance on the rail trail.
And we've had over 20, I think it's 20 of them have come out with qualifications doing work on the corridor already, so that's a part
I
of it.
remember, a young couple of years ago, we get our dollar off the government for our pay for the week, the red scheme, yeah, we used to go around concrete footpaths and driveways and clean up parks and stuff like that.
Yep, well, we will be looking at all those avenues to lessen the impost on ratepayers as far as maintenance is concerned.
Mr Mayor, could I, if Councillor Duff's finished, could I just have a couple of minutes to talk about some of the big projects maybe might be coming up?
Yep, rightio. Okay, well, Councillor Duff, you're still working away, chewing away
Well,
at your...
do I have any more questions?
Who looks after national parks?
National parks would be
States,
States.
yeah.
Good for nothing.
You got a point there.
Yeah.
All good?
Fencing anymore, are they?
Councillor Duff mentioned Coolabunyan sale yards as an activity that we as council are involved in. It is not a revenue producing activity, but it is a service to the agriculturalists in the area. I know that there are farmers graziers who sell their cattle in many different ways. There are still a number who do sell through the sale yards of Coolabunyan. There are a couple of other business activities that council is involved in, and they are truly regarded as business, and that's the Yallacool Dam, the Bajoka Peterson Dam, and the Bunduma Dam. And each of those, they are managed, we employ a manager to look after them, but they produce a sizable revenue stream each year. And in addition to that, of course, bring in a lot of tourists into the area, fishing competitions, as well as those who come up and use the areas for camping and such like. But in terms of if Yallacool and Bunduma, were not generating a profit, there'd be no justification for us as a council to be a part of them. But given that they are generating surpluses, we will continue to support them, and more than that, they are a major contributor to the well-being of the overall south.
You've got to keep maintaining them.
That's right, and they are.
Beef's pretty good. I've been up to Beef there a couple of times.
Yes.
I quite like it. It's clean, it's tidy, and
Yep. Well, that's our responsibility. I mean, we're like if you ever go away and you use a hotel or a park elsewhere, you expect it to be clean and tidy and presentable and sufficiently inviting so that you want to go back again. And that's the way we have to look after both Bunduma and Yallacool.
So the other thing I just wanted to mention was that right in the last 4 or 5 years, all the timber bridges have reached their use-by date. So in the last 4 years, we've had to replace the bulk of the timber bridges around the region, and that's cost a bucket load of money because some of them they've mostly been upgraded to concrete.
that's how you also follow that.
No, well, just Councillor Jones didn't mention that because it's sort of, we've just about finished our bridge replacement program, but that has cost a huge amount of money for bridges.
Why can't we go to Coleman?
We have in a lot of cases we've taken the wooden bridges back to Coleman's.
Yeah. Well, they're all got a flood, whether it's a bridge or whether it's Coleman. I thought Coleman was a lot easier to
We
replace
have
on a bridge.
a bridge on Middle Creek, which is a state bridge, which in 2011 and 13 had giant hay bales rolling over the top of it. Somebody came along for a couple of weeks and hung over the side and were fixing it up. It was originally a big concrete bridge, 2 lanes. It's ever since been a single lane with a giveaway sign on the T-junction.
Was it a state?
It's now been, i.e. 3 or 5 years, that this 2-lane bridge, beautiful big bridge, is now a single lane bridge. Can we find out from state government?
That's the traffic advisory committee. We actually raised that, why we raised that, and I said, why can't?
Because you've just mentioned the one down here, because they're going to,
Well, they're both signed on the front, they've got the signs on the wrong side of the bridge. Yeah. Like, to come round there, or whatever, you know, if you have 3 or 4 cars coming home to work and they come around, they've got a big way.
have you ever seen it?
Yeah. So, yeah.
Two seats.
In that traffic advisory committee, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it's to do with main roads.
Originally
That's
had a bridge that was built to handle
I think the Middle Creek, I think it's because as you come around the corner, I think they're what, 5, 10k come around the corner. So you stop there virtually, whereas you've got traffic coming out of King Roy or from Cumbria.
This one down here is a priority, and I'm pretty happy that we've got it actually, it's up the top of the list. We went to the traffic advisory. It's very good up.
Wasn't that rule
I think
brought
it's
in?
natural, but it's always been, the giveaway's been on the southern side of the bridge, isn't it?
That was right in from our fathers made roads.
It's
Any
always
traffic
the southern
going
side
north had to
had
give
pull
way to
up.
traffic going south.
And that's
Should be determined by traffic conditions, I think.
That was the rule they
That
had.
was the
What I said, the point I was making is suddenly, for all the years that bridge has been there, it's been a two-lane bridge. We suddenly get a flood, we can't handle a flood. We've now, the state government says, oh, we'll fix the country folk, let's stick a giveaway sign up and invert it some more.
It's still a state issue, it's not for these guys to deal with. It's a
There's no
state
giveaway
issue.
sign down on Barker Creek, and they come
No,
down.
not the main bridge.
What we've got to do as far as these bridges go is lobby the state government. And we've got onto the right main roads and all that, and through that traffic advisory, we're addressing that. The best place
Voice in the wilderness up there, you're right.
It's a state issue.
Okay, now look, if any of you have issues or questions that you'd like to discuss or mention perhaps privately, Councillor Froliff is offering to make a note of your particular concern. You kind lady, you wanted to ask a question, or have you asked the question?
I asked about because I was quite concerned that
The Burnett
people are choosing to go through Kingaroy
Yes, yes.
rather than use that Maidenwell, because the
Yeah.
Maidenwell Road is really good except for that stretch of gravel.
Yes, that's
I
right.
wouldn't advise it really rain on it, I tried to.
Okay. We've been through each of the council areas in terms of a presentation on what each of the councillors do. Councillor Fleischfresser wants to make a comment in regard to projects that are coming forward. I had noted down that I wanted to mention to you that it's very important for council to have a good level of working relationship with developers who may want to come into the area to construct whatever, and Terry no doubt will talk about that. But working with engineers and town planners at times can produce challenges about as acute as trying to herd cats at times. But they sometimes have a bit of a mind of their own. Nonetheless, as an organisation, we are the representatives of the people. If we can get new businesses to come into the area that further populate, that further produce job opportunities for those living within the area, kids moving from school. Now, you know, we've had comments to the effect at one of the other sessions about, well, why do we want to get any bigger? We're quite happy to, we're quite happy to be, the way that we are. Well, look, I'm sorry, we have to try and grow the region, and this council will not rest on its laurels, past or whatever. We have to continue to try and move forward. So, Councillor Fleischmeister, you've got a couple of
Thank you.
comments you would
I'll
like
let
to
you
make.
talk about the achievements in the first 100 days, but I'll just go on the other three that we're looking at.
Okay.
Okay, there are two major projects we're looking at the moment. Obviously, one is the wind farm. It has the capacity of construction cost of $350 million over 2 years, with around a workforce of between 150 and 200 people on site out here, between here and Karanga North and the Western Downs. And then after 2 years, it'll provide about 20 to 25 full-time jobs for persons here locally, and then the associated people that will come in from time to time. There's another one that we're looking at also. I'll just say it's the same size, same scale, same work opportunities and the same employment opportunities. There is another one we've got in the very, very early stages of, and it's very confidential at the moment, but it has huge impacts for us for the future. All good industries to have here, and it has the capacity of a $500 million injection into infrastructure and 200 jobs for 20 years. So that's the type of development that we're going to go after, tooth and nail. And let me tell you, not one of them's a coal mine. They are outside the coal mine thing, but that's the type of development that we want to bring to the South Burnett that we possibly can. If we get the opportunity of making and sell ourselves in such a positive fashion to attract those developers, that's what we're about.
What's the wind farm? Is that going to give us a second electrical provider here, or
It'll have
what will it do for the area? Apart from an employee.
Well, what happens, they'll sell the electricity straight back into the grid.
Yeah.
And what the ultimate aim for Australia is to be able to produce enough coal-fired electricity, coal-fired power station electricity, and alternative electricity, because South Australia is lacking dramatically at the moment with the southern states in the cold weather is lacking dramatically in electricity, even though they say we have an oversupply. So what they want is a balance of 50-50, so that the stuff that we're producing up here can go down south during the winter months and whatever. And
it is already, yeah, it is already.
So that's what it is, but we get the construction process and the jobs that'll come out of it. And the people at the farms that the turbines are going to go on will get an income revenue from that.
Well, about 15 years ago, when I was travelling up and down the highway and got to talk to a lot of people, I found out we're going down there then, mainly to northern New South Wales. You tried to get a 5 kilowatt solar system on here. Yeah. Oh no, it's too much.
Councillor Hyton,
too much going back in the grid, yet they're building this wind farm. How are they going to pump that back in there if we can't get a 5 kilowatt system on our block?
Yeah, they'll have to build a substation and then put it into the main transmission lines.
I'm not involved in it, mate, not you.
And the other thing, how come we've only got one provider here? Can't we get another one, or is there any way we can get on another provider's system?
Yeah,
they seem to get
that's a state federal government.
Yeah, that's not, that would require you sort of shopping around, I suppose. We don't have any, as a council, we don't have any involvement directly with Ergon in respect to power.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I've got a lump of the present until, and we can go outside and shop around and get...
No, because they won't.
That's what I thought,
yeah. I think you'll find that with Ergon Energy, the rates we pay for electricity they're actually at a set level set by the government. They can't go. The government won't let the electricity, because we've only got the one provider. Yeah. The government realises that, and the rates and the levels won't go much higher. I've actually lived I've lived in a few places around, and this is actually one of the cheapest electricity providers I have ever had to deal with. So, yeah.
You know, you're young, got a family and everything, yeah?
Yeah, okay, that'll do me.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, mate, when I said that.
No,
I'm
well-
on my own, so like electricity.
No,
doesn't
look-
Oh, well,
work,
even
mate.
more, see, look out.
Yeah,
I got a 5
during the
kilowatt
time we
system
were
and-
moving around, we had the young kids.
But young families coming into the area and like
Yeah.
living, settling down there.
I mean, I was born and bred in Kingaroy, and even my grandma was born there, but, you know, when my husband was in the army, we moved
Yeah.
quite a few places around Australia, but
Yeah.
it is one of the cheapest and the best places to live, so.
Okay,
Yes.
now, it's been great having so many people here tonight, but there have been a lot of silent people sitting around. You've been absorbing it and soaking it up, but if you have questions that you would like to ask, you know,
Don't give us a rest for 5 minutes.
don't feel shy about, well, we don't want to keep anybody from their other activities that they might have on tonight, committee meetings or...
This is more important, this is why we're here. Trying to get it fun again.
We do have sandwiches and coffee here, and we'd like to invite you to stay and talk individually. No. When we it won't be taking a break. We will conclude the meeting. We're not coming back for the round two. But what we would like to say to you is that if you feel that our being here for this listening tour has been beneficial, and you'd like us to do it again at some stage along the way, you know, you can indicate your pleasure or
Can I just have
displeasure.
one
Yes, you can.
Can I ask Councillor
Not going to do
Potter,
anything, but we can.
the environmental levy,
Yes.
what do you do with it?
Okay, the environmental, I've got to
I think
think
that's
about this.
Kathy's
No,
Bearing in mind we all pay it.
Sorry.
Bearing in mind we all pay it.
Yes, you do all pay it,
So
and Councillor Duff will
it's a lot
explain
of,
it.
a lot of it's for weed, it's for weed control and,
Noxious pests.
yeah, most of it goes towards weed control. We didn't spray, even the lantana that you see spray on it.
Is that on the roads or property?
Road.
on the roads.
Yeah.
Property is your responsibility.
Do you supply the baits for the dogs?
Yeah, the
and stuff?
tin baits.
Yeah.
That's
You
Kelly's
can
advice.
also
That's
plastic
basically
bags
all
to
the
spray around
environmental
town.
levy does.
Oh,
On council roads, you go along and spray weed.
well, there's a whole host of projects they do in the environmental levy. Have you got a list of them?
Okay.
I'll have a look at them. How about I have a look and I'll show you like this. I'll show you the list.
Let him talk, he's like his own voice when he talks.
Sorry. I couldn't hear. Okay, well, Kathy will try to find it in our budget papers. Is there anybody else who'd like to ask a question? George, yes?
I don't live in the Kingaroy Shire and I don't get a vote.
No.
But I do give you quite a few pennies.
Yes, good, yep.
Well, why shouldn't I get a vote?
Well, now that's probably a question that is as simple as it's based on your place of residence, and if your place of residence is not in that particular regional council, that would be the reason why you don't. Now, I've had a situation put to me about people who own a property in, say, the South Burnett region, maybe have a property at the Sunshine Coast or a property at the Gold Coast. Why can't they why can't they get a vote in the Sunshine Coast and the Gold Coast? But it's your principal place of residence, as far as I'm aware. It doesn't relate to how much money you might spend in one area or another. That would be very difficult to manage and control. So
It's your principal residence.
yeah. So I think the best way that you could express or convince somebody in relation to which council or you might support. I mean, if you're spending dollars in, say, the South Burnett region, you would have friends and relations in the South Burnett region. That you could whisper in their ear about, etc. That'd be about the only way that you really could.
I get sick of it quick.
But the other thing is,
That's all right,
people who rent in this area can vote, and they're not necessarily, well, they're not ratepayers. So it's all on people who
Renting
live in
is a
the
different thing, but owning.
but they still get to.
That's nothing for the individual council to address.
I think
No,
there's,
it'd be a state issue.
I think there's a call, there's an ad in the paper this week about anybody who wants to make a contribution or a request with the new electoral boundaries, which they'll decide before the next election. I think you can make an application of that if you want to
So
change.
I've got a list of the environmental levies, sorry to go
Probably
through.
fall on deaf ears, mate.
Okay, just
Fire breaks and prescribed burning activities declared and environmental weed control, water weed control, land care and landholder assistance, that's all. We give out a lot of, you can borrow our splatter guns and our tracks and all sorts of things, so it goes towards that. Regional fire management plans, licensing and mapping and survey work, so that's all the stuff under this.
That's basically just more or less helping your rural people like on the landowners and all that sort of stuff. And before they create people that take the time to make sure they, and people say, oh, you just spray lantana and lantana's a plant, you should be looking after it and all this sort of stuff. That's the sort of stuff you've had said to us in the past. But ask these blokes if they want lantana growing outside their fence on the main road if they're spending the time.
We won't let it grow on the road.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's all good, it's all spent.
Now, can we spray on the road in the Kingaroy Shire?
Can you spray?
Just laying down around the road.
It's on the footpath.
Yeah, because there's a lot of landholders even around Geelong are spraying for African lovegrass on the state control roads and council
Toowoomba
roads.
just put the hammer on it. We can't mow, slash or spray on the road.
Very good.
Well, my advice from the South Burnett Shire is that the footpath is my responsibility,
Who does own the footpath?
the council.
It's state, it'd be regarded as state land, but you're responsible for looking after that. You live in town, in the village?
No, I'm just down the road here on 10 through the estate there, yeah.
Right, okay, yep.
Yeah. 5 acre lots and, yeah.
Some a bit bigger.
Yeah, some of it big, yeah.
Yeah, now, you had a question?
Oh, just about changing a road name.
Changing a road name,
Yeah.
right? Well, would you like to tell us which one, and then
Brooklyn's Pimpinbudgie South Road.
Brooklyn's Pimpinbudgie South
South
Road. You'd like it changed to?
Well, it was originally Pimpinbudgie Road, and then previous council changed it to Brooklyn's Pimpinbudgie South Road, which is just.
Is that one that goes back up towards you, Lloydie?
Yeah.
What's the other one that goes down?
It's Brooklyn's Pimpinbudgie Road.
Brooklyn's Pimpinbudgie that way, and then yours is
And it's got,
Pimpinbudgie
it's
Brooklyn.
got the same numbers in each end, so they tack southwards tacked on our end, but
There's no
you know,
Pimpinbudgie
an
Road
envelope
up in
with
that,
a
is
window
there?
that big,
Yeah.
the south gets chopped off, then our mail.
Will and
finishes up.
Jody are on Pimpinbudgie Road.
Right in the street, that's a lot of road.
It didn't even fit on the census form.
No.
So they're Pimpinbudgie.
I couldn't even fit half it on the damn census.
Well, what do you complain about? Ours is 42 Tangerine School Road, Pimpinbudgie, and we don't even live at bloody Pimpinbudgie. Bloody Maidenwell, not Pimpinbudgie.
I mean, that's a good point, because you have to.
They said it comes up on the computer there. Someone would have to put it in the computer.
That's right.
We're ringing up for a fire, but they don't even know we're on.
Can we have some short? Right.
There was a fair point made here by Mrs.
That's what
Gordon
it is on the computer.
that if an ambulance gets called out, they don't know which end of the road to go to.
We spent an hour and a half waiting for an ambulance to come to our end, because they were looking at every house down there.
And that's what
That
happens.
should be
the issue.
That's your
It's
issue.
like the
We should take that up.
Brooklands come Maidenwell and turn up, and they're down there looking for
So that's
us.
Pimpinbudgie Brooklyn Road, that one, that's Pimpinbudgie Brooklyn's
Brooklyn's
south.
We started off all being Brooklands Pimpin budget, and they numbered from Brooklands up to the crossroads, stopped the numbering, restarted the numbering, and we were, so we had 2 lots of numbers. So they taxed out onto our road.
So where Will and Jody live down that dirt road.
That's now Pimpinbudgie Road, but Pimpinbudgie Road always used to be the road that we.
So what comes out near you, Ross?
Now, as it's Middle Creek Cooya Road,
So it changes up the top,
it goes to that
Bernie Bars.
Bernie Bars, and then it changes towards Judy's Road.
Yeah, down past Spencer's, it's Brooklyn's.
So what would you,
South Road.
give me a name, what do you want to call it?
Budgie Road.
Used to be Pip and Budgie Road, and there was no problem.
So just Pip and Bungee Road, you'd be happy with that if we got it back there?
That was the whole road too.
That's what River says.
Yeah. Because when the numbering restarts, so it may as well just go the one road all the way through.
Well, okay, now look, I think in regard to the change of road names, it's not as easy as.
Well, it must be fairly easy because you've changed it twice in the last 10 years.
Well, okay, well, there you go, you've just blown my argument, but that might have been back then. Normally, the process would be, how comfortable do you feel about writing a letter in?
I have.
You have?
And I emailed I emailed in and did that. And somebody by the name of Ramesh Mantana got back to me. I emailed back, nada, back from him after whatever it is.
Do you recall the reply?
Oh, the original reply, just what's the issue with the road name?
Yeah,
and I've got my issues.
Have you've got the issues there, have you?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I mean, my husband got a new licence, and his licence is technically for the address because it's 2382s, and that's our main issue. And his licence has been under Queensland Roads. It's the other address.
Yeah. Well, okay.
So,
Given
I
that
think
you've
we could
already,
get
given that
fined
you've
and
already written in, if you could come up and perhaps give Roz a few more details, etc. And.
And for some reason, it's only council who are referring to our section of the road as being Brooklyn's Pinky Budgie South Road. That doesn't exist in any GPS equipment or on Telstra or Ergon.
How long ago they changed it, Judy?
Oh, it's years ago.
Before me.
And I've been through all the process that Hayley went through.
So your rural address, is it Brooklyn's Pinky Budgie
South
South? That's
Road.
your rural address? Yes.
That's what's on
And
the
that's
road
what
sign.
Australia Post insists that we use that address. And it won't fit in people's computer systems, it won't fit in envelope window, it gets chopped off and then it's someone else's address at the other end of the road.
So what's the dirt road that runs up past Burnett to Forestry?
Middle Creek Cooya Road.
So that comes out and goes past you,
Yeah. So
and then from there
all
that
goes right
goes
up.
Pimp and Bungee,
It used to be Pimp and Budgie ran up past us and went up Jodie and Wilkes Road, I think.
it's all
That's what it kind of-
the same, it's all the same road. But it's big. Road, they're going to get the map and find out where it is. And bring somebody up in the East Road, all the way around there like that, it's just ridiculous crossroads up here. That's Pimp and Bungee Brooklyn Road down there. This is Pimp and Bungee Brooklyn South Road. That's Pimp and Bungee Road. And then from there, to there, right, and then this is Middle Creek Cooya Road going here, and this is your highway here.
You could easily get confused.
So people come up our road and then Cooya's up our way.
Alrighty, well look,
Is that confusing or what?
But the ambulance is on that.
now,
I will take that on board because
okay, ladies and gentlemen, look,
well, supposedly Pimp and Bungee Brooklyn South and Pimp and Bungee Brooklyn. You could lose somebody with health issues simply because they're going, and they've already said that they go the wrong way. Then your licences get sent out, and you don't get it, and you get fined for not having it. I do. Just quickly, for all the locals, thank you very much for coming along. I now have bragging rights because we have nearly tripled anything that's been previous to our listeners. The other good thing that I'd like to announce tonight is through Councillor Height. She's responsible for distributing drought relief money, and last year through the Maidenwell Community Group we had a function here for over 100 plus people, and I'm happy to say that we've just secured another one for this year, and we're shooting for the second Saturday, 12th of November at this stage. We've got to discuss with Councillor Hyde. But the 12th of November, keep that free. You'll find out for sure. The community group will send all the information out. And it's a whole free night for everybody that's in the local community. And if you're not quick this time, you will probably get knocked back. We had to fight for numbers last year, and I don't think we'll have to do it this year. So I'm happy to say that we've got first one up too.
Can you write me down there now, Paul?
And it will be a free dinner, and plus other bits and pieces. Alrighty, well look, thank you very much to each of you for coming out. If you consider this worthwhile, you can give feedback to Spud, but the intent is that from time to time we would come out and have a talk. Sorry? No, well, I'm going to wind it up. Yeah. Let's wind it up then. Come and have a cup of tea and a sandwich, and just again, thank you for your attendance.